Hi everyone, my name is Anuj. I'm a second year MBBS student at GMC Nagpur, and in this video I'll be showing you the different uses, the different features of the latest iPad Air 4 which I've recently upgraded to. So strap on in. I'm not going to bore you with numbers and all the different stuff. I'm just going to use real life performance and my experiences with it to demonstrate you the different features. As you might be familiar, I had the iPad 6th generation for around 1.5 or 2 years, and by using that device there are certainly some of the features that I wished that were different. So what are these features that I'm talking about? The speakers. The 6th generation iPad, or in fact the 7th, 8th generation also, had only speaker grills on one side, which could be easily blocked by just placing the hand or just placing the iPad vertically. The next thing is the screen and the outdoor screen experience. So of course the brightness of that older iPad was not as much as compared to the newer one. The screen of the older one is much more reflective. That means whenever you are in the sun outside writing something, or even when I'm sitting over here when the window is showering so much sunlight over here, then it's difficult to see and write down properly. You have to have it at an angle when the angle of reflection does not directly go into your eyes. Talking about screen, the second most important thing is the real estate. That means the screen size. The older one has a 9.7 inch screen, whereas this one has around 11 inches of screen, and this makes it very similar to the iPad Pro 11 inch version. Now the thing is that whenever you're having an iPad, you're having so much screen space. You want to be able to multitask, and multitasking, I'll get to that in a minute. But what happened in the old iPad was that if I used to play a lecture on one side and put out good notes on the other side, the lecture would take up so much space that I would be left with only a small piece of screen to write my notes on, and that was a big problem. The next thing is that as a student I type a lot, and sometimes it's not possible for me to take my laptop everywhere I go, so iPad was my carry-on device. And typing is an important part, like essays, assignments, PPTs, projects, everything, it has to be typed on properly. And the iPad did not have an external, at least I did not have an external keyboard. I could have bought one, but I did not. So that was not a pleasant experience to type on the screen. I was always in fear that if I hit a stroke, I should not damage the screen. So that was an issue that I faced with this older generation iPad. The next thing is the battery charging. The older iPad had a lightning connector, and lightning connectors are pretty slow. So it used to take a lot of time just to charge the iPad to the maximum capacity. And that was one of the issues. Well, the battery lasts a lot, but the charging was still an issue. Another thing was the Apple Pencil, and Apple Pencil charging, to be very specific. That means if I had to charge the Apple Pencil, I had to stick it on the back side of this iPad, and that would make me scared to put it anywhere when I could just snap that pencil. So that is one of the things that I just generally did not like about that. The next thing is the connectivity issue with the Wi-Fi. So my entire Wi-Fi connection of the house resides in the second floor, and when I used to go to floor 1 and I would sit diagonally opposite to this guy, Wi-Fi connection would just fade away. It would not read it, and that was a major problem, because if I was away from my base, then I would not be able to stream any kind of content online. Now that might not be a problem for you, but it was for me. Alright, the next thing is the inability of the iPad to stand at complete 90 degree. So the case which I had with the older iPad, it folded backward and I gave this 120 degree angle. So for any kind of meetings, whenever I used to keep this iPad on my table, only the bottom of the half of the screen would be utilized by me, as the webcam was facing the upward direction. And the last thing is that the storage space was 128 GB. I did not run out of storage, but I would definitely appreciate more storage if we had. So all of these things were the reason that I shifted to the iPad Air 4, which takes care of all of these issues. So here are the features of the iPad Air 4. It still only has 2 speakers, but there are 4 speaker grills on either side. That means you can block one speaker and one will still remain open. It's louder than the older one. I've experienced this, and the outdoor experience and the screen is much more better than the last one. Since in this iPad Air there is a more tight integration between the screen and the glass outside. So what is happening is that it's creating a kind of experience where you're feeling like it's all one and the same thing, that you're not writing on glass, you're writing on the screen itself. The next thing is that the typing experience. Oh, the Magic Keyboard is the best typing experience that I've ever had. And of course it's very expensive, and if money is not the issue for you, then you can definitely get this Magic Keyboard. As you know, I type a lot of questions for myself for practicing, and I used to type that on my computer and then sync it up with my iPad using Google Docs or something like that, so that I could practice questions. But with this magic keyboard thing which is going on over here, it is so easy to type a lot of things whenever you want to. It's kind of becoming a laptop slowly and slowly, and we are getting more closer to that. Alright, the battery charging, beautiful. This has got a USB type C connector, which is, as you know, the gold standard nowadays, and the charging is super fast. I actually conducted a test. So I did a 1 hour and 30-minute test, and in that 1 hour 30-minute test I charged both the iPads from 35% battery. The older one made it to 54 in 1 hour and 30 minutes, and this guy made it to 75. Now that's a huge improvement in battery charging, at least because of the USB type C and the faster charger that it comes with. The next thing is the Apple Pencil charging. The Apple Pencil here magnetically charges so that I don't ever have to worry about charging it. There is also no worries about breaking it because it does not have any removable parts. The thing I noticed with this iPad is that I could use this iPad to stream 4K content at a place where the older iPad did not even register the Wi-Fi. And now that's a huge improvement for me in capabilities of the network issue. It has got Wi-Fi 6 integrated in it, so that even in the longer distances, if you're in the hostel and the Wi-Fi is at one place, it would be easier for you to get the connection at your room, even if it's not reaching with the older generation iPad. That's one thing. The space, this is a 256 GB variant, though there is enormous space for doing everything. All the different videos that I've found online are present over here, so that I could use it anytime to watch it. So those were some of the features of the iPad 4 and the reason that I upgraded. Now one thing I would like to point out, in my last video about the iPads, I clearly mentioned that don't go for the Air, and now I've bought the Air. Isn't that hypocritical? Well, the answer is, though that video is still good if you're planning to buy the older generation iPad. It's very clear that you can either buy the normal one or you can go with the Pro one. But in the latest iPads, the Air has killed the Pro. That means Air is the new Pro at the lower price with the better specs, at least in my eyes. So this Air is now the Pro, and if you want to go ahead from the Apple 8th generation iPad, this iPad Air is the one I would suggest you, and not the iPad Pro, because again, this has killed the Pro, and everybody is agreeing with this fact. Now since I've bought the iPad, the type of notes that I'm taking has changed a lot. There have been a more image-based notes so that I can utilize my visual memory a lot. If you're not a visual learner, then this is not for you. But for me, I learn by seeing all the images that I can, and this has been really helpful. Now, while I'm watching the lectures, let's say I'm watching sketchy microbiology, at the same time I could use this iPad and annotate the same image on GoodNotes so that it becomes like a PDF of things which I've made by my own, and I could use that to revise everything. Notes are also important when it comes to reading books, and reading books is of course one of the major things that I do on this iPad. I can mark, annotate, highlight the book that I'm reading. I can make diagrams in that book itself, and so that is just another level of experience that the accessory Apple Pencil provides you. I'll give you an example. My friend Abhijit sent me this book called as Shanbag. It's a book for pharmacology used for examination purposes, and I just got this here on my Telegram and I just opened it, and in the same day itself I read like 250 pages just by scrolling. Now imagine doing that on your phone. The second thing is multitasking. Well, during meetings I have to have my notes placed in front of me so that I can ask the person all the different questions that I want to ask them. So I can just open up Notion while I'm on Zoom or Google Meet, and that could give me all the points that I want to talk with the person. I could do it on the phone, but it looks much more professional when it's on the screen itself and it looks like you're coming up with all of these questions by yourself. While using Marrow Question Bank, I open the question bank in one segment of the iPad and I open up the GoodNotes in the other segment of the iPad, and then while I'm solving the question bank, if I feel like something can be added to my mistake book, immediately then and there itself I screenshot that, annotate that and add it in my mistake book, and that's really helping in multitasking. If you are doing review books on the iPad, you can open up the same review book on one side with the questions panel and the same review book on the other side with the answers panel. The next thing is watching lectures. Watching lectures is again a thing that I can do on the iPad. The bigger screen definitely is a killer, and if I were to watch the lectures on my phone, the screen is smaller and it would, and phone is kind of a distraction thing for me, so I keep it away whenever I'm studying. But the iPad is a productivity thing for me. So if I want to be productive and have a bigger screen to watch the lectures on, this is the thing that I would suggest. If you're a content creator just starting up by making videos or photos, then you can edit a lot of heavy files on this iPad itself. There's this app called as Luma Fusion, which is a great video editor for big projects that you might want to upload on YouTube, or for small projects like birthday videos for your friends. Or you can also create small videos using iMovie, the default app of video editing of this iPad. The next point is consumption of stuff. Now I'm a human just like you, hopefully, and sometimes I allow myself to watch movies or watch series while I'm in bed before I sleep. So this is the go-to object for me. At that point when I'm in bed comfortable, I don't want to turn on the PC and watch it on the big screen. I just want to have an enjoyable experience. So for content consumption, it is the perfect device. The next part is, some of you guys are gamers, and you might have noticed, if you have been watching carefully, that I like to play games too. So games like Among Us or Badland Brawl are some of the few games that I play, and this has been really good with those games as well. Let's talk about some of the accessories. The first most important accessory that you should get is this Apple Pencil 2nd generation. It charges magnetically and it's always charged no matter what I do. The second accessory, if you're really wanting to type a lot of things, then get yourself the Magic Keyboard, because it's going to change everything. There's also a smart folio keyboard from Apple itself, which will again help you in typing stuff out. But once you start typing on this thing, you would definitely not enjoy typing on any other thing ever. Chalo, the tareef ho gayi hai. Now let me do some criticism of this iPad itself. The most important thing is the price. It's very expensive. You can get actually 2 laptops with the price of this Apple iPad Magic Keyboard and pencil combination. And that's one of the limiting factors for a lot of people. If that's a limiting factor for you, then you should definitely look for the 8th generation latest iPad. It's cheap and it will get the work done for you. If all these issues which I talked about earlier are not something which you consider to be major, then the 8th generation is again perfect for you. And the next thing is that this iPad does not have a headphone jack. Now this is the only device that I own that does not have a headphone jack, and that is really bugging me, because to hear everything at night, whenever I'm sleeping, before I'm sleeping, if I want to watch some movie, I don't want to play it loudly. I want to play it as silently as I can and also enjoy the experience. And then I have to connect my Bluetooth earphones, so that's a mess. The next thing is, the Magic Keyboard is not suitable for writing stuff on the iPad. Whenever I want to write stuff, I would have to detach the iPad and put it onto my normal case, and only then would I be able to write properly. Otherwise the Magic Keyboard does not fold that way. The last thing is the connectivity issues that comes with owning an Android phone, a Windows PC and an iPad OS device is kind of difficult, but thankfully Google Drive helps me integrate everything that I want to. So finally, which one should you get and should you upgrade? The answer again is the features which I talked about earlier. If they are major to you, like typing, the screen experience, the charging, etc., then go for it, upgrade to iPad Air. And if they are not major to you, the same exact experience you can have by using the iPad 8th generation. So yeah, with that, this video is coming to an end. If you still have more time to spend on YouTube, then I definitely recommend you this video, which I released on a Thursday. And yeah, if you haven't already, hit the like button and show your support, and subscribe to the channel, because it makes up for all the time, effort and energy that I put into making such beautiful videos. Alright, stay safe, stay healthy and stay happy, my dear friends. Until next time, this is Anuj Pachhel. I'll see you soon.